What's up, you guys? Rener and Gracie, Hito and Gracie, Gracie Academy World Headquarters, Monday after the action-packed weekend. Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock 23 years later. We did an impromptu Gracie breakdown Saturday morning with Lyoto.
That was just a light conversation on the fight. That wasn't a breakdown. Keep going, though.
So if you weren't here, it wasn't official?
Correct.
Well, my partner is back, you guys, and we're not only going to break down the Gracie Jiu-jitsu elements of the short but beautiful fight between Royce and Ken, we're also going to talk about the mounted triangle from Donald Cerrone over Alex Oliveira at UFC Fight Night last weekend. When's the last time you saw a mounted triangle UFC?
I don't know, but I love them and I'm always looking for them.
So we're excited to break it down and talk about it, okay? First, let's talk about this idea. The standing fight between Royce and Ken was very interesting because it couldn't be more classic Gracie Jiu-jitsu, distance management, manage the distance, manage the damage. Now, the last interview Royce did, he said that he weighs about 178, 180 pounds. He weighed in with all his clothes on, and his gi and his belt, so it's hard to know what his actual weight was the day before the fight. Ken was 205, give or take, and that's a major weight disparity. So in Royce's mind, as any Gracie Jiu-Jitsu trained practitioner, is manage the distance, manage the damage. So wasn't it interesting for the first 2-3 minutes of the fight, they were moving around. Royce is southpaw, so they're moving around, and Royce is keeping a perfect distance, moving, and Ken's not committing, but Royce is not in a range to hit with punch or to get hit in return, right? So we talk about this 2-arm length distance that really Royce became famous for in UFC 1 when he has his posture of his hands up and his hands out, and he's making sure that you're at least 2-arm lengths away. Now, he also threw kicks right here to make sure that Ken, at any time, would respect entering into the striking range. But because he throws kicks as a strike or a kick as a strike, that makes Ken think twice about stepping in.
Yes, and when Ken does want to step in, Ken can't come halfway.
Right.
He has to come full force to get past these kicks and even some jabs Royce was throwing. Because if he stands right here, Royce could, like anybody, could throw a jab and punch you in the face. So Royce is asking for Ken to give everything.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see because this is such a stark contrast to what we see today in MMA, which is two people, 185.5 pounds on the dot, yoked up in the ring, trading blows. Boom, they're exchanging and they're moving and they're stepping in and they're accepting this trade of blows, which, although it makes sense in the same weight class with judges who want to be impressed by strikes, that's the game that is played. It creates a false deception for the public who's watching that that's the safest way to engage in a fight. Like, MMA is the best representation of a real street fight without it being a real street fight, and if everyone's watching people trading blows left and right, they're thinking that that's how they're going to get down if it goes down.
I mean, the punches that land these days in the UFC or in MMA in general, I'm sure the public sees that and says, you know what, I don't want to take one of those. And if I did take one, I probably wouldn't stay standing
That's
like
true.
Diego Sanchez or Gilbert Melendez. I'll probably go down.
Right.
So they do respect that it is a sport.
Right.
But still, some might be confused in Royce. And
It's just so cool that Royce went in there, and what's crazy is he fought with the distance and the respect for the damage 23 years later with the same distance and respect as UFC 1.
Well,
same exact strategy.
Well, Royce is programmed to train and treat Ken Shamrock like Ken Shamrock is 290.
Right.
Doesn't matter what weight you are.
Well, yeah, Ken Shamrock is getting old, but he's
not that old.
Dude, he's solid still, you know, 50 plus years old. If Ken lands clean, you're going down. I don't care who you are.
Well, they're getting equally old.
Right.
So the older you get, the more susceptible you are to get knocked
safer, yeah. So it was just beautiful to see the distance management. And then eventually what happened, like Hito said, Ken got frustrated that there was really no exchange happening. So then Ken turned on the switch. And he didn't come in strategically jab and, you know, combinations. He just bowed his head down and threw huge punches and just overhand right, overhand left, tried to land two, but Royce saw that as what? That's the window. And the thing is this, from a clinching perspective, and this is like the basic Gracie Jiu-Jitsu 101, right? Many of you guys are black belts who are watching, you guys already know this. The lower level or brand new or non-students, the idea is this, when you want to clinch someone, which we know Royce wants to do, when you want to clinch someone, if you don't stand still, you're low, you're heavy, solid base. If I want to clinch him and he's standing still, he's a much harder target to grab. Then, because he can elude me. Then if I'm standing here and he throws, boom, and I go in and I grab. So the idea is I want him to attack because he's easier to grab when he's committing to the attack.
And that's only possible if your number one concern is defending yourself, protecting yourself.
Right. Distance, probing him, kick, and move, jab, stay out.
And I feel like Royce knew that Ken Shamrock wants to win.
Wants to go.
Right? He hasn't won yet. It's a good time. He even said it. It would be good to finish, you know, my story by ending Royce Gracie and knocking him out.
Put the pressure on him.
How else is he gonna beat Royce other than knocking him out? He's not gonna out-grapple him.
So when he finally did commit to this and he threw the right, Royce came in, boom, they both grabbed. He grabbed one, he grabbed the other, and they eventually tied up. And that's when Royce got a grip of this low wrist right here. Now that's when the knee was thrown to the lower abdomen area, the knee that was heard around the world. And when you look at it again, you guys, that was not a knee to the groin. That was a knee high and to the right. Okay, and if you have any doubt, the delay in Ken's reaction verifies that that was by far off the mark.
Nice.
How do you know? If you've ever been hit in the groin for real,
you respond immediately.
It's not a 3-second lag on that, okay?
No.
It's immediate. So
as you see it coming, you're already responding.
So there was no knee to the groin. But anyways, the knee happened, boom, on the pelvis.
It could have still hurt.
Oh, it hurts. But the same way, a knee to the stomach hurts and a knee to the thigh hurts.
Good point.
A knee's hurt no matter what. So he knees, boom. And then what happens is we're here, he landed the knee to the face right here.
That was unbelievable.
That was very nice, tight.
I did not expect that.
Came up tight right here, boom, he lands it. And then Ken turns away, and that's when Royce got the clinch on the body right here.
And then Ken's arms were right near this area anyways.
Yes. Boom, so we're here. Royce has the body clinch beautifully. And then normally when we teach like beginner classes here, we show just hug the hips and lock the person and then pull the person down and do the rear takedown. But it was so dope that Royce had both arms trapped in the mix, locked over, and then he did the same thing, pulled him down, came up on top right here. So Ken had no hands in the process. Let's rotate. After the beautiful rear takedown, he stepped over, Royce had his foot over, kept his hand blocking his arms down low, and that's when the hammer fist came in. Boom, boom, boom. And what's crazy is that when there's no referee, when there's no intervention, there's no TKO stop out because you're not blocking your face and wisely, or what do they call, intelligently protecting yourself. Right, when there's no referee right here, what would normally transpire here is 1, 2, 3, and then this person would roll out of desperation. Royce would sink the hook and sink the rear naked choke here. And that would have been really interesting.
I would have loved that. UFC 1? That's what happened in UFC 1. It would have been the same thing again.
Same rear naked choke, that was crazy.
That would have been great.
But because of today's rules where they have to stop it if you're not protecting yourself, the hand stayed low, the hammer fist landed, the ref saw this, and then stepped in to, stop the fight. And that was the end of that. Ken got up yelling about a groin strike. Well, but after you look at it, it didn't happen, you guys. There was no groin strike.
Well, at what point did he begin to sell the story of the groin strike?
After the knee to the head. After the knee to the head.
Got it, so it was standing.
Yes.
Yes.
So here, hold my neck. It was one, boom. The second one came right up to here. After he got that one, he didn't like that. So then he said, I'm going to break. And then he came here, and that's when he came here.
Yes.
Boom. And then he dipped him down very nicely. Beautiful rear takedown. Boom. Came up, foot came over, and that was the end of the story right here. Boom, boom. But I just thought it was so beautiful that, it can't get more classic in terms of distance management, timing the entry, waiting for him. Royce didn't care about exchanging at all. Put the pressure on Ken to close the distance. Ken finally said, man, if I don't go get him, he's not gonna come at me, And then he turned it on, and that was the timing of the entry. So even though it was a short fight, and some call it a controversial ending because of Ken's antics after the fact. It was beautifully executed, got the rear takedown and the hammer fist, perfect.
Royce to win by hammer fist.
Yeah.
That's interesting, huh?
First TKO of his career.
That's cool, he deserves one.
Beautiful. You guys, learn from it, take from it. And if you ever fight someone with the same weight disparity that Royce had against Ken, know that your best strategy is very much of what you saw. Don't put the pressure on yourself to go get them. If they don't want to fight, peace out, walk away. If they do want to fight, keep distance until they commit, because when they commit, it's much easier to get a hold of them. Okay, and you disrupt their distance. And manage the distance, manage the damage. All right.
Donald Cerrone.
Donald Cerrone, cowboy versus cowboy, American cowboy versus Brazilian cowboy in America. Triangle from the mount. It was very exciting, you guys. We often get tweets after the fights, and this was no exception. Twitter feed was blowing up.
Yeah, everybody wants to be able to look like Donald Cerrone. In this situation,
that particular
they
fight,
want to duplicate that and do what he did because it was amazing.
Beautiful. Let's check it out. So Donald lands in half guard right here against Alex. Alex is turning a little bit away from his side right here. Donald's knee slides through, and fearful of the strikes that might come, Alex continued to turn. Donald stepped up with the back foot, leaned back, threw the leg around, and locked it up right here. Boom. And then he rolled, let him roll. And then when they landed, and he tapped a bunch. But a lot of people were saying it was kind of a quick tap. We don't think so.
What happens is this.
If you thought that was a quick tap, you've never been mounted triangled in your life by someone legit who has ridiculous thighs swinging around your neck and squeezing all the while.
When you turn to your side right here, the moment The moment this leg went through, this leg went up.
Yes.
When this thigh right here, when I lean and this thigh locks, see right now already my thigh is going to work.
And this is pinching.
Yeah, everything's snug.
This is a choke.
So it's all, say that again.
This is a choke.
This is a choke, it's already locked. Now, and why roll?
Good question.
Obviously, I feel like it's possible he could have finished it from right here. Maybe
Sometimes if you're a little less locked up, bro, barely off the lockup, you can like fall to help cinch it in, right?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of weight.
And who knows, we weren't in the fight, so we had no idea. But if possible, locking from here has its benefits because you have better position, you can't be slammed, they can't stack you. And even if you can't, like if I can't choke you because you're too thin or whatever, my bite is incorrect, I can grab and squeeze the arm. But nonetheless, he rolled over and the tap was already on.
Right when they rolled, he started tapping. And word has it, if you look at Dana's Twitter feed, 10 taps and the ref didn't see it, whatever. He was pretty upset that literally he was like here coming out of the roll. And
Who was upset, the fighter?
Dana was upset that it took, the ref was right here and it took 10 or 11 taps for him to stop the fight. And then what happened is Donald was like this. Like, yo, looking at him, the ref, look at the ref.
He has to make
and pointing
sure,
here,
yes.
like, yo, he's tapping, can you see this?
Well, it's interesting that if Dana felt like it was too much time,
Yeah.
but yet the commentators said it
Thought
was
a
too
quick
fast.
tap. That's true.
So
that's
tricky.
true.
I mean, and Donald Cerrone has to be safe because the last thing you want to do is release it. The second you land on the bottom, you release it, and there was 4 or 5 taps in that moment, but maybe the referee blinked and didn't see. So he wants the ref to stop it.
Yes.
That's why I would imagine he's pointing.
In general, I don't care what anybody says. When the guy's tapping, you need to get off his neck or get off his ankle or get off his joint.
Well,
like, whatever you interpret as a quick tap or too long or too, regardless. You see this, that's the game over. That's game over.
You mean he should have let go earlier?
I'm saying the ref should have said stop right away.
Well, correct, but sometimes the ref is a second behind. They're
Yeah.
a little bit far away. The point is that when it comes to, especially on a choke, hold the choke for 5 extra seconds. And
true.
if they pass out, they'll just pass out. It's not a
Yeah,
big deal. Now,
it's
if you
not.
have a
Just a
heel
quick
hook,
nap.
like what's his name?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, Polaris, yeah.
The most disrespectful
Usman
MMA
Polaris,
fighter
yeah.
in the world.
Squeezed and ripped,
If
yeah.
you're like him, then it's a different story. You know, he should, of course, be punished. But it's a choke, it's all right. Worst case scenario, he'll just pass out.
All right, you guys, you're at home, you watch the Gracie breakdowns, you put them all on your feed, you like go through YouTube, you spend sleepless nights studying all the details, learning all the moves, going back and then choking out your friends. It's one thing to watch the breakdowns on the internet. It's another thing to come all the way here, learn the techniques in person, connect, choke, innovate, elevate, and Gracie survival tactics, law enforcement, professionals all over the country, all over the world, 60 plus people here all week long, keeping it real on a whole different level. When I say Jew, they say Jitsu. Jew! Jitsu!